Welcome to Red Recaps. In today's video, we will take a look at a movie called Axel. Relax, sit back, and enjoy, because it's really going to be entertaining. Don't forget to watch this video till the end. And here we go. Through the use of a promotional video, the name AXL, which is pronounced Axel, is initially presented to the audience. Andrik, a scientist working for Crane Systems, is the one who is doing the narration here. He describes his new and original scientific discovery. As the story progresses, we find out that the term comes from a combination of the words attack, exploration, and logistics. Miles Hill is shown participating in a motocross race. When he started to slow down for the turn, another competitor named Sam Fontaine ran into him and caused his chain to break, which caused him to lose the race. After that, Miles and his father Chuck go to see if they can borrow a chain from the extremely affluent and well-equipped Fontaine family team so that they can compete in the next race. Their demand will not be granted. Miles is very fortunate because Sarah Reyes, a friend of their adversaries, stole a chain and gave it to him as a gift. Because of this, Miles can enter the game at the 5:15 mark and go on to win the day's most important and decisive race. Following the competition, Sam goes over to the winner and extends an invitation to the party, but Miles declined. His father talks him out of going as they are in the process of packing up their belongings. Chuck tells Miles that the Fontaines have money and contacts, both of which could be beneficial to him in the future. At Crane Systems, there's been a problem because an Axel robot has managed to get away. Andrik, in a state of fear, yells at his coworker to start the drones so that they can try to locate whatever it is. Following the guidance provided by his father, Miles decides to go to the party, where he is warmly welcomed by Sam. After that, Sam grabs a flamethrower from his buddy's garage and sets an abandoned automobile ablaze with it while they video him doing it. Miles declines the offer, stating that it isn't his thing, even though he is invited to have a turn. After that, he does some exploring and eventually reaches the garage. Sarah decides to follow him inside, and the two of them spend some time talking to one another. It was revealed that she is not married and that she resides on the property since her mother is employed by the family. Having a hangover the following morning, Miles is having a conversation with his father. His father cautions him that his career as a racer won't go on indefinitely if he continues it. On the other hand, Miles answers by stating that it is the only thing he is excellent at, that he received bad grades, and that he is unable to pay for college. His father has always told him that riding motorcycles is the one activity in which he has always put in his absolute maximum effort. The next thing that we see is a flock of unmanned aerial vehicles searching the countryside for the dog. After that, Andrik gets a phone call from a military official named Captain Weber. During the conversation, Captain Weber informs Andrik of an upcoming appointment to demonstrate his robot. She observes that he has burned through a budget of $70 million, but has not yet demonstrated any outcomes that are even nearly combat ready. Miles has joined Sam and his friends to film some motorbike stunts out in the countryside, where they are now located. The fuel tank of one of them is filled with a can of soda, although they look friendly. As a consequence of this, his engine suddenly stopped working during the subsequent stunt, forcing him to crash very spectacularly. After that, the party leaves Miles behind, along with their GoPro camera, giving him little more than a can of petrol as their parting gift. While Miles is surveying a piece of wasteland that contains a container, he comes face to face for the first time with Axel. He runs away on his bike, at first out of fear, but his curiosity compels him to sneak back and take a closer look at the dog later on. At this moment, Axel gives chase, even though we know he needs to refuel. During the pursuit, the dog is injured, but Miles is there to help him recover. Miles' ability to do this is aided by the dog's ability to transmit repair instructions to Miles' cell phone. When they got back to the Fontaine home, Sarah watched the video that Sam had placed online of Miles' accident. She confronts him about this, and through their conversation, she learns that he left Miles where he had fallen after he had injured himself. She is anxious and needs to know his precise location right away. In the meantime, Miles is currently occupied with playing with the recently revived robotic dog that he has repaired. Andrick and his colleague Randall found the letters Axel after going back to the facility run by Crane Systems. Andrick announces that they have located a human test subject for their technology, while the other person is excited about the prospect of luring him in. Even though it is very evident that Randall does not support this concept, it appears that Andrick is the one who is in control and is pulling the strings. In the middle of the countryside, Sarah shows up to help Miles. In this part of the conversation, he helps her overcome her phobia of Axel by portraying the robot as a friend to her. Later, as dusk approaches, the two of them start developing romantic feelings for one another. They set up a makeshift tent for the night, and during the conversation that ensues, Miles discloses that Axel is riddled with bullet holes. In light of this, he is unwilling to give the dog back to its owners, despite Sarah's best efforts to persuade him otherwise. The two of them then start to dance together with the help of Axel. The following day, they discuss what course of action to take with Axel. In the end, Miles is successful in persuading Sarah to take the boy along with them. They make a pit stop at a convenience store along the way. Not only does Axel pay for the gas at this location, but he also uses up all of the money in the ATM to help out his new buddies. They eagerly accept the cash. And then they take him outside to an abandoned building where Sarah practices her graffiti work. Axel interrupts Sarah while she is demonstrating an artistic side of herself. He displays an explanation of who he is and what his role is in the world by projecting a film onto the interior wall of the home. During the scene in which it is revealed that he is capable of pairing with a human, he hands Miles a round-shaped metal device that is quite small. Miles taps this button to begin a pairing. With the help of an application on her mother's smartphone, Sam drives up to the abandoned building on a quad bike after locating Sarah. He throws a swing at his fellow racer, but Miles manages to avoid getting hit just in time for Axel to step in and break up the fight. He is envious of the developing friendship between her and Miles. Sam is warned by Miles that the dog is not to hurt him, but Miles nonetheless orders the dog to leave. Andrick is excitedly observing these interactions elsewhere. He believes these will help them through their experiments. While it is evident that Randall is worried that someone will be hurt, Andrick appears to be less concerned about the situation. He calls the attention of his teammates to the company. Later that day, after Miles has returned home and is discussing Axel with his father, Sam and his pals go to the old house. They start pouring gasoline into the container that the robot is standing in. After seeing a post about the attack on social media, Sarah immediately sets out on another rescue expedition, this time bringing Miles along with her. Sam, equipped with a flamethrower, set the dog on fire and walked away. As Andrick watches on, he is left in utter disbelief as it appears to go offline. After returning with Axel, he sends the group another set of instructions through Miles' phone. An agent shows up at Chuck's residence and breaks into it without his permission to look for clues. They proceed to put Axel into Sarah's trailer and then follow the directions to a warehouse that they were provided by the dog. Chuck also makes sure that the agent is unable to locate the gadget used for pairing the two devices together. However, he does not appreciate this display of aggression and can disarm and restrain the man who is searching for him by brandishing a bow and arrow in front of him and threatening to shoot him. After Miles and Sarah arrive, they immediately get to work mending him up. After they have finished all of their chores, they are ordered to wait for 2.5 hours before they can completely reboot. Andrick is informed of his new position just as Axel comes back online, at which point he dispatches a team to Axel to effect the recovery. They enter the warehouse with the rebooting procedure not yet having been finished, but with only a few seconds left to go until it is finished. After some time passes, Miles comes up with a plan to divert attention away from Axel to avoid him getting muzzled. The troops are swiftly dispersed, which provides Axel with the opportunity he requires to make his escape. He is tasked with eliminating the danger posed by Sam as part of his assignment. Axel finds Sam and his crew while they are out doing some shopping and begins to pursue them. He follows them to a party where he jumps off of a roof in pursuit of Sam, who can find shelter underneath a car. In the midst of all of his fellow partygoers fleeing, Miles and Sarah ride up on their bikes. By utilizing his flamethrower, Sam can keep the dog at bay. Nevertheless, the weapon quickly runs out of fuel. On the other hand, at the very last second, some of his not exactly friends step in to save him. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, A swarm of miniature drones descends from the sky and encircles Axel. They provide the impression of electrocuting him, which results in him collapsing. Along with his human companions, he is transported back to the Crane Systems facility. Andrik is unsuccessful in his attempts to hack the pairing system, despite his best efforts. He informs Miles that he requires the gadget for pairing. Miles is not going to comply with his demands, and he is concerned about the project's ethical implications. Andrik ups the ante by bringing in Sarah, whom Andrik threatens by utilizing Axel, who he is commanding from a tablet. Sarah is present during this exchange. It was with the use of a flashlight that Sarah was able to converse with the dog in the manner in which she had previously trained it. It has identified her as a user who is permitted access. The military of the United States of America arrives to take Andrik into custody before the situation can be settled. It would appear that Randall has filed a complaint against him for harming the general public. In addition to that, they are there to retrieve something that they refer to as their asset. Sarah is the one that leaves the facility first to throw them off their trail. At the same time that she is being arrested, Axel and his motorcycle riding partner run out at speed, with Miles utilizing the back of his dog to help him jump the perimeter fence. The two people try to get away, but the drones can find them quite soon. These are effective in partially disabling the still functioning Axel, who subsequently triggers his self-destruct sequence and blows himself up. Andrik is questioned at the military prison by Weber, who tells him that AX code Ls have been found again, and asks him whether he is the one responsible for this. He denies it. As Miles and Sarah prepare to leave for college with the help of a scholarship offered by the military, they say their goodbyes to Chuck. On the beach, where they are playing with a real dog, Miles gets mail from his father every once in a while. It is the key to combining Axel together. When he presses it, he discovers that it has been brought back to life. Instantaneously, they each see new messages appear on their respective phones. Unbelievably, Axel is still with us today. The movie finishes here. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below and let us know what you think about the movie. If you liked this movie, you can watch it by clicking on the links below. And also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more of our videos. Thanks for watching Red Recaps. See you in the next video.